Muchachos y muchachas, this is going to be a pretty quick video because I feel like it's necessary and I feel like this would be the honest thing to do. And this is all in regards to the Matt Gaetz situation. And, at this very point, what I will preface everything by saying is that I'm still confused. I still am on the fence about the information that's coming out. I know that a lot of people don't agree that, Matt Gaetz could even possibly be, implicated in this truly. And, to those people, you have every single right to believe what you believe. As I do this on a day-to-day basis, I look out for headlines, I look for information. Sometimes a strategy is to extrapolate information and data from sources that are not necessarily favorable, such as the New York Times. So this is the honest thing to do because there have been little details that have come out ever since then. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So initially, the information was all sourcing from the New York Times, in which they broke a story and they claimed that, 3 individuals, in which I had criticisms for in my first video, they claimed that 3 individuals who were unnamed stated that there were investigations into Matt Gaetz, a sex trafficking probe, and, this, that, and whatnot. Matt Gaetz rebutted those claims by saying that this was an extortion scheme. And since then, there has been more information that has come out. Apparently, his friend Joel Greenberg was singing. Apparently, there were text messages. But now it just seems to be a lot of limbo information that is not conclusive. And so, like I said, this is the honest thing to do. And I'm just going to, for now, leave you guys with this information. And we're going to just sort of allow this thing to transpire. If there are more conclusive, explosive details that come out about this, of course, I'm going to address it. But this is what we know for now. So coming back to the New York Times, they're the ones that came out with the story, anonymous sources. I didn't trust it. Then later we find more information. But they also came out with this yesterday. Matt Gaetz, loyal for years to Trump, is said to have sought a blanket pardon. So insinuating that an anonymous source, again, went to the New York Times and sent this information to them. Hey, New York Times, Matt Gaetz sought this pardon from Trump right before he left office. Well, Trump came out today and said, no, he didn't, which puts a black eye on the New York Times and their claim, because they're sourcing from these anonymous sources and it's turning out that something is not right. Something is not true. So this is what Donald Trump had to say. Congressman Matt Gaetz has never asked me for a pardon. It must also be remembered that he has totally denied the accusations against him. So with that being said, somebody here is lying. The New York Times has in the past sourced from anonymous sources. They have been not correct. We can source, or we can refer to things such as a Russian collusion hoax and, it not being credible, not having their claims backed with credible sources or corroborative details. And that ended up a hoax. So the New York Times right now is looking like uncredible. They're looking uncredible, or not credible is the better term. If Trump himself is coming out saying, look, he never sought a pardon, where did they get that information from? Which also makes this question about the earlier information about the sex trafficking probe. Now, in addition to everything that's coming out, there are some leaked texts coming from an Israeli consulate that confirms the extortion put on the Gaetz family. And it says, leaked text from Israeli consulate employees show more details in Gaetz-Levinson funding scheme. In the screenshots of text between Scott Adams, creator of 𝘕𝘓, and Jake Novak, the media director of the Israeli consulate in New York City, were shared with TAC. The messages were authenticated by one of the parties to them. In the first screenshot, Novak messaged Adams last Saturday to message about the investigation into Matt Gaetz. The New York Times story on Gaetz' investigation was not published until Tuesday. In the second, Novak appears to represent himself as deeply involved in the efforts to free Bob Levinson. I believe it's an Iranian. He's a detainee. Telling Adams, "This is screwing up my efforts to free Bob Levinson." Gaetz' dad was secretly filming us is what they meant. He continues, "I'm very much wanting this to be untrue. I'm a commando team leader friend of mine, nervously waiting for the wire transfers to clear." In the third screenshot, Novak casts doubt on Gaetz' claims that is being extorted. "The real documents do not extort," he writes. "And we only asked for $25 million as an estimate at first, but we came way down," which confirms that there was an extortion scheme, at least on the Gaetz family. So I'm gonna just pause on these text messages. You guys can pause this video if you want to read them in full. Okay. And then on top of this information coming out, an ex-Matt Gaetz staffer is also rebutting a lot of these claims made by these publications that, as we both know, are claiming a lot of things. And so here we go. Here's the honest way to go about this, is to give you the latest details.
They told me that members of the media reached out to them asserting that I had previous knowledge of Congressman Gaetz' involvement in illegal activities. They asserted that because of that knowledge, I resigned my position as the Director of Military Affairs. I'm here this morning to state that nothing could be further from the truth. Neither I nor any other member of Congressman Gaetz' staff had any knowledge of illegal activities. I've known the congressman for over 6 years when he was a state rep in the Florida House. I worked with him for 4 years as his Director of Military Affairs. Everybody here in Northwest Florida and the defense community knows that I had a planned departure. I left to continue supporting the military mission in a private capacity, helping to align the Department of Defense, defense industry, and academia for workforce development here in the Panhandle. This baseless claim against me leaves me further convinced that the allegations against Congressman Gaetz are likewise fabricated and merely an attempt to discredit a very vocal conservative.
So that's what his ex-staffer, this is, let me see if I get Nathan Nelson, who resigned last October. So, with all this being said, like I prefaced in this video, I'm still straddling the fence on this whole thing because, yes, there are text messages that state, that he's being extorted. Then there are other claims paired with text messages, whether we know right now if they're fabricated or not. Requesting that they make a fake ID for Matt Gaetz, which doesn't make sense too, right? And apparently his friend is singing from prison. Who knows? For right now, I'm going to put this down, and I'm just going to say that right now there are things on both sides that just make me just kind of sit at the center and just wait for more details to happen. I think that's the most honest thing I can do as a commentator on these type of issues. And, it's the most responsible thing to do is to, come out and say that, hey, look, this may have been fabricated, all of it, up to this extent that the media just has no absolute shame. But also, hey, this stuff could be credible stuff too. There are those text messages could be real. Those screenshots of the ex-tax collector, what's his name, Joel Greenberg, his friend, and he's on child trafficking charges. Or they could have exploited that entire situation, just to fabricate this story. So like I said, right now I'm just straddling the fence. I'm not quite sure where to go right now, but the honest thing for me to do is say, hey, this could be fabricated. and the media could be completely 100% in on extorting and exploiting Matt Gaetz, or there could be some truth to it. Right now I'm just sitting at the center, so I just want to come out and be honest about it. And I definitely am so honored that people count on my opinion, and that these are things that you like to hear from me, but I have to keep it honest. I got to keep it clean. And as somebody who is also standing on the outside of this news, as you are, this is what I observe, and I can only go about it as it comes. So that's what I have to say. And that's the video, guys. Thank you so much for paying attention to this. And I'm coming out with another 1 or 2 pieces today. All right. Bye-bye. Mwah.